Have you ever looked at a woman who radiates potential, yet lives as if she has none? She might be you, royalty running through your veins, yet settling for crumbs of love, scraps of respect. The real tragedy isn't that others don't see your worth. It's that you forgot who you are. Let me tell you something. One of the greatest tragedies in life is watching a woman who doesn't know who she is. A woman born with strength, dignity, and purpose, yet walking through life like a beggar, begging for love, for approval, for someone to see her. She was made to reign, yet she stands outside the gates of her own kingdom, waiting for someone else to unlock the door. No, no, no. You are a queen, and it's time you start living like one. The issue isn't that people don't recognize your value. The real issue is that you don't see it. And when you don't see your own worth, you allow others to treat you however they please. You accept words that cut deep. You endure actions that disrespect your soul. You tolerate what should have made you walk away the very first time. But because you've forgotten your crown, you stay. You tolerate. You explain. You make excuses. You whisper to yourself, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm asking for too much. Maybe this is all I deserve. No, Queen. You are not asking for too much. You are asking for what you were always meant to have: respect, honor, love, and dignity. And if they can't give you that, then they don't deserve access to you. Do you know what happens when a queen lowers her standards? She opens the door for chaos to invade her kingdom. When you allow people to treat you like you're ordinary, you stop walking in the power God placed inside of you. You silence your voice. You dim your light. You trade your dignity in the name of so-called love. But let me tell you something. Real love doesn't make you feel small. Real love doesn't ask you to shrink. Real love never requires you to disappear just so someone else can shine. If you have to beg for it, if you have to become less to keep it, if you have to lose you to hold on to them, then it was never love to begin with. I need you to hear me today. You were not created to live beneath your worth. The way you carry yourself tells the world how to treat you. The way you speak about yourself, the way you let others handle you, it all sends a message. And maybe, just maybe, you've been sending the wrong message for too long. You've let pain convince you that you're not enough. You've let rejection make you believe you're not worthy. You've let people who didn't know how to love you make you question whether you're lovable at all. But today, I came to wake you up. You are not what they called you. You are not the mistakes you made. You are not too broken. You are not too much. You are not unworthy. You are a queen. And from this moment forward, you need to walk like one. Stop chasing people who don't recognize your value. Stop crying over those who were never meant to stay. Stop waiting for permission to be who you already are. You don't need their validation. You don't need their approval. You don't need their acceptance. Queens don't ask to be treated with respect. They expect it. Queens don't beg to be seen. They own their space. Queens don't settle for less. They walk away when they see it. Some of you are afraid to walk away because you think you'll end up alone. But let me tell you this, because the truth is, the right people will never ask you to shrink. They will see your crown, not question it. And if they don't, then let them go. A queen never begs anyone to recognize her royalty. If someone can't see your crown, they were never meant to sit at your table in the first place. So, stop mourning the loss of people who were never meant to hold a permanent seat in your life. Stop watering down your standards just because you're afraid of being alone. Let me remind you, it is far better to walk alone, in peace, in dignity, with your head held high, than to sit in a crowded room where no one respects your presence. Let me ask you something. When you walk into a room, what do people see? Do they see a woman who knows exactly who she is? Or do they see someone who doubts herself, someone who's apologizing for simply taking up space, waiting for approval to just exist? Because I'm going to tell you this, loud and clear. A queen never shrinks to make others feel comfortable. She enters with quiet confidence, she speaks with clarity and conviction, and she carries herself like she belongs, because she does. Whether she's seated at a table, standing on a stage, or walking into a crowd, she knows she has every right to be there. And if you're going to step into the woman you were divinely created to be, you've got to stop hiding. Stop playing small. Stop living like you're afraid to be noticed. The way you carry yourself is a mirror of what you believe about yourself. And some of you, you've been walking through life with your head lowered, shoulders hunched, your voice barely above a whisper, because somewhere along the way, life lied to you. Somewhere along the way, someone made you feel like you were too much or not enough. They made you believe that your presence was a burden, something to be tolerated, not celebrated. So now, you hesitate before you speak. You question your own thoughts. You dumb down your brilliance. You laugh at jokes that insult your soul just to fit in. You say yes when your heart is screaming no. But hear me clearly, a queen never apologizes for being exactly who she is. You've spent far too long making yourself smaller, just so other people could feel bigger. You've silenced yourself to avoid conflict. You've held your tongue when you should have spoken up. You've dimmed your light so others wouldn't feel threatened by your shine. But that's not who you are. That is not why you were created. God didn't place purpose inside of you just for you to keep it locked away. He didn't give you wisdom, vision, strength, and fire in your bones just so you could stay quiet, scared, and hidden. You don't need permission to speak with power. You don't need someone's validation to carry yourself with confidence. You don't need approval to walk in the authority you were born with. So stop moving through life like you're lost. When deep down, you already know exactly who you are. Stop second-guessing yourself when heaven has already confirmed you. Stop waiting for someone else to say, "You're enough," before you finally believe it. You are not an afterthought. You are not an accident. You are not someone's backup plan. You are a queen, and the way you move through this world should reflect that truth. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's not about being better than anyone else. It's about knowing who you are and refusing to let anyone convince you otherwise. It's about carrying yourself with quiet strength, with grace, and with a self-respect that tells the world, "I know my worth. I don't need to prove it. I live it." And that kind of confidence, it's not just in the way you walk, it's in the way you speak. Some of you have been whispering when you should have been declaring. You've been softening your voice, toning it down, making it more palatable for people who were never meant to understand your message anyway. But your voice was never meant to be hidden. Your words were never meant to be silenced. Your voice was never meant to be silenced, because inside it, there is power. Real, undeniable power. There is authority in what you say. There is strength in your voice. And when you speak, you must speak like someone who believes every word she says. No more fading out at the end of your sentences like you're unsure. No more second-guessing your thoughts as if your own wisdom can't be trusted. No more speaking in a way that leaves room for doubt in yourself or in the minds of those listening. If you are a queen, and you are, then every word that leaves your lips should carry the weight of that truth. Your voice should be strong, but never harsh. Firm, but never cruel. Wise, but never arrogant. And above all, your words must match your actions. Because a queen doesn't just talk, she walks. She doesn't just say she knows her worth, she moves like she knows it. She doesn't just declare strength, she demonstrates it in the way she holds herself, the way she rises, the way she leads. And here's something you absolutely must understand. People will treat you according to the standard you set for yourself. If you walk into a room like you don't belong, they will treat you like a stranger. If you speak as though your voice doesn't matter, they will ignore it. But if you carry yourself like you are worthy, if you speak like you have something of value to say, if you move like someone who knows God placed authority inside of her, people will have no choice but to respect you. So, No more playing small. No more timid steps. No more apologizing for simply existing. From this moment forward, you walk like the queen you are. You speak like the queen you are. Because the world won't recognize your royalty until you do. And as you rise into your true self, there comes a moment when you must guard your space. You have to stop letting just anybody have access to you. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Not everyone should be allowed to speak into your life. Not everyone should get close enough to disturb your peace. Because here's the truth. A queen doesn't leave the gates of her palace wide open for chaos to stroll in. She protects her energy like a sacred resource. She is careful with her time, her space, her spirit. Some of you have been carrying burdens that were never meant to be yours. You've taken on problems that don't belong to you. You're clinging to relationships that have been emotionally dead for years, simply because you're afraid to let go. You're letting people pull you in 1,000 directions, and now you wonder, why am I so tired? Why do I feel so drained? Why does everything feel so heavy? It's because you've been handing your peace over to people who don't even value it. You've allowed noise into places where God designed you to have stillness. But listen, you cannot live in peace if you keep inviting things that disturb it. Some people feed off drama. Some only feel alive in dysfunction. Some will drag you into their storm just so they don't have to sit in it alone. And if you're not careful, you'll end up fighting battles that were never yours to begin with. You'll exhaust yourself trying to fix people who don't even want to change. But hear this, that is not your assignment. That is not your burden. You were not created to carry everyone else's weight while your own soul is crumbling. You were never meant to be the emotional dumping ground for. You weren't meant to carry the weight of the world. And you definitely weren't meant to carry everyone else's chaos at the cost of your own peace. You are not responsible for fixing everyone. You are not the solution to everybody's problems. And you are not obligated to stay in toxic relationships just because of shared history. Listen to me closely. Peace doesn't just happen. Peace is something you protect. It's something you must fight for. Something you must choose moment by moment. You have to become intentional about guarding your space, your time, and your energy. You have to start getting serious about cutting out distractions, limiting access to people who drain you, and removing yourself from anything or anyone that costs you your peace of mind. And yes, I know, it's not always easy. Some of you are afraid to set boundaries because you don't want to disappoint people. You don't want to seem rude. You're worried people will think you're cold or heartless. But let me tell you something that could change your life. Your peace is not up for negotiation. Protecting your peace does not mean you don't love people. It does not mean you're selfish. It means you finally learned that you cannot pour into others from an empty cup. Some of you are trying to be everything to everyone, and in the process, you're losing yourself. You've stretched so thin, you barely recognize the woman in the mirror anymore. You say yes when your spirit is begging you to say no. You take on responsibilities that aren't yours to carry. You try to hold everything together for everyone else, while you're silently falling apart inside. And then you wonder, why do I feel so depleted? Why am I always frustrated? Why do I feel invisible, unappreciated, unseen? But here's the better question. When was the last time you poured into yourself? When was the last time you stopped to rest, to breathe, to take care of your own needs? You cannot keep running on empty. You cannot keep sacrificing your well-being for people who would never do the same for you. It's time to take your peace back. It's time to stop apologizing for putting yourself first. It's time to stop explaining why you're unavailable to people who only show up when they need something. And it's definitely time to stop feeling guilty for choosing you. Because when you truly understand your worth, you'll realize not everyone deserves access to you. You'll realize that your peace is too precious to be constantly disturbed by chaos. You'll realize that your energy is too valuable to waste on people who thrive on drama. There is power in your stillness. There is power in your silence. There is wisdom in knowing when to walk away from conversations that leave you drained, from relationships that no longer serve you, from environments that no longer align with where God is leading you. But don't expect everyone to understand. Some people will call you distant. Some will call you selfish. Some will take offense, not because you hurt them, but because they were benefiting from your lack of boundaries. Don't you dare feel guilty for choosing yourself. A queen does not ask permission to protect her peace. She does not explain why she's unavailable for foolishness. She does not apologize for walking away from people who were never meant to go with her to the next level. You don't have to fight every battle. You don't have to respond to every insult. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Some of the greatest victories are won in silence. Some of the most powerful battles are fought by simply letting go. And some of the deepest peace you'll ever know will come when you realize not everything deserves your attention. From this moment on, let peace be your standard. Let wisdom be your compass. Because if someone cannot recognize your worth, that's not your burden to carry, that's their loss. Some of you have been bending over backward for people who wouldn't even take a single step for you. You've been giving your heart to those who don't have the capacity to hold it. You've been exhausting yourself, trying to prove your value to people who never appreciated it. But let me ask you, if you have to beg for someone's love, is it really love at all? If you have to keep reminding them to respect you, do they truly value you? Because here's the truth. Real love is never forced. True respect doesn't need to be demanded over and over again. When someone truly sees you, when someone genuinely values you, they won't have to be convinced to treat you right. Some of you are still holding on to relationships that have already let you go. You're fighting for people who stopped fighting for you a long time ago. You're settling for inconsistency, for half-love, for being someone's option instead of their priority. And the only reason you haven't let go, it's not love, it's fear. You're afraid of being alone, afraid of the silence, afraid of the unknown. But let me offer you this truth. Loneliness isn't found in being alone. It's found in staying connected to someone who makes you feel unseen. Because true loneliness isn't the absence of people. It's the presence of the wrong people. It's sharing your heart with someone who doesn't value it. It's giving your all to someone who only gives you half. If you are a queen, and you are, then you must start setting the standard for how you are treated. You need to stop accepting behaviors that betray your worth. Stop dismissing red flags just because you're afraid to start over. Stop staying in places that are draining you just because the thought of being alone scares you. Because the truth is, your fear of being alone might be the very thing keeping you trapped in patterns that are breaking you. Let me ask you, do you truly know how powerful you are? Do you realize how valuable you are? Do you understand that you were never created to live your life begging for the bare minimum? You were made to be loved completely, to be cherished deeply, to be honored not just when it's convenient, but consistently. Here's a hard truth. You teach people how to treat you by what you choose to tolerate. If you continue to accept disrespect, it will continue. If you keep making excuses for inconsistency, it will never change. If you settle for less, you will never receive more. It's not up to others to suddenly recognize your worth. It's up to you to stop handing it out to people who never earned it. Some of you are afraid to walk away because you think walking away means losing. But hear this clearly. A queen never loses when she chooses herself. She doesn't lose when she refuses to settle. She doesn't lose when she walks away from people who were never meant to go with her. If someone can't see your worth, let them go. If someone treats you like an afterthought, let them go. If someone is hot and cold, in and out, let them go. You were not created to live your life in a constant cycle of disappointment. You weren't designed to hand out endless chances to people who have shown you, time and time again, that they don't deserve you. Stop romanticizing potential. Stop convincing yourself that if you just love them harder, they'll change. Stop hoping that with enough patience, they'll finally become the person you need them to be. The truth is, people do not change unless they want to, and it's not your job to fix, to heal, or to complete anyone. Your job is to protect your heart, to guard your peace, to love yourself enough to walk away from anything that doesn't align with the future God has already prepared for you. You are not an option. You are not a backup plan. You are not someone's last-minute convenience. If someone can't love you the way you were meant to be loved, they should never have access to your life. You don't have to beg for real love. You don't have to plead for respect. You don't have to convince anyone to see your value, because when you truly know your worth, you refuse to settle for anything less. There comes a moment in every woman's life when she must stop dimming her light to make others comfortable. Stop shrinking herself to fit into spaces never meant to contain her. Stop downplaying her greatness, because others can't handle the weight of her calling. A queen does not make herself small just to soothe the insecurity of others. She does not lower her standards just to be accepted. She does not silence her voice to keep the peace. You were never created to be ordinary. You were not placed on this earth to blend in. You were not designed for mediocrity. It's time for you to rise up, to walk in the fullness of the woman you were created to be. Some of you have been sitting on your potential for far too long. You've been waiting for permission, waiting for validation, waiting for someone to say, "Now you're ready." But let me tell you something that might just set you free. You don't need anyone's permission to be great, because the greatness inside you was placed there on purpose. And you don't need anyone's approval to walk boldly in your purpose. You don't need a cosign, a round of applause. Or a committee vote to start becoming the woman God already confirmed you to be. If you keep waiting for people to cheer for you, you'll be waiting forever. If you keep needing someone else to validate your dreams, you'll stay stuck in the same place. If you keep waiting for the perfect moment, you may never take any step at all. Some of you are more focused on opinions than obedience. You're letting fear of what people might think paralyze your progress. You're holding yourself back because you don't want to offend anyone, don't want to stand out, don't want to make waves. So you stay quiet, you play it safe, you tiptoe around your calling because you're scared of judgment, scared of criticism, scared of failing. But let me tell you something. No one who ever walked in greatness did so without resistance. No one who stepped into their purpose avoided opposition. No one who made real impact was spared from doubt, ridicule, or rejection. If you're waiting for everyone to understand your vision, you'll be stuck forever. If you're waiting for the road to be smooth before you start walking, you'll never move. If you're waiting for perfect conditions before you pursue the dreams in your heart, you'll bury them before they ever breathe. A queen does not ask for permission to shine. A queen does not apologize for her anointing. A queen does not let small minds talk her out of her divine assignment. You have been equipped. You have been called. You have been chosen. Now it's time to act like it. You cannot keep sitting on your potential because you're afraid of people's opinions. You cannot keep hiding your gifts because you're worried about making others uncomfortable. You cannot keep dimming your light because you're scared to fail. Let me remind you, failure is not the enemy. The real enemy is never trying. The real enemy is staying stuck in fear. The real enemy is letting self-doubt steal your destiny before it has a chance to unfold. Some of you have dreams you buried under disappointment, visions you silenced because life got messy, gifts you boxed up because someone told you it wasn't the right time, or you weren't the right person. You've convinced yourself it's too late, that you missed your moment, that you're not qualified, not smart enough, not ready. But here's the truth. What God placed inside of you is still there. The gift, still there. The calling, still there. The purpose, still burning. It doesn't matter how many years have passed. It doesn't matter how many mistakes you've made. It doesn't matter who left, who doubted you, or how many times you've fallen. What does matter is that you rise, that you stop sitting on your anointing, that you stop burying your talent under fear and excuses, that you stop waiting for someday. Because the perfect moment isn't a date on a calendar. The perfect moment is now. The perfect moment is the moment you stop waiting and start moving. The moment you stop second guessing and start stepping out in faith. It's time to activate your purpose. It's time to stop living beneath your calling. It's time to step fully into your rightful place. And yes, not everyone will be happy about it. Not everyone will celebrate you. Not everyone will support you. But guess what? That's not your problem. You were not called to be liked. You were called to be great. You were not created to blend in. You weren't created to blend in. You were created to rise, to take up space, and to stand out. You were never meant to sit on the sidelines, quietly watching your purpose pass you by. If you're going to truly walk in the calling on your life, you must be willing to leave behind anything and anyone that no longer aligns with where you're going. That means some relationships will need to end. Some habits will have to die. Some environments will need to shift because you cannot soar while still gripping the weight of what's meant to be let go. You can't reach your next level while clinging to what keeps you bound. You cannot walk in power while still entertaining the very things that weaken your spirit. A queen knows when to walk away. She knows when to release. She knows when it's time to rise. And now is that time. There comes a moment when you must stop explaining yourself to people who already made up their minds about you. Stop trying to prove your worth to those who refuse to see it. Stop seeking affirmation from people who were never meant to validate you. A queen does not waste her breath begging to be understood. She doesn't plead for love. She doesn't chase those who walked away. She stands, fully rooted in who she is, knowing that her presence alone is powerful enough. Some of you have been exhausting yourselves trying to make others understand your heart. You've been bending backward, trying to be enough for people who never appreciated you in the first place. You've been offering explanations to people who never deserved access to your inner world. But listen, you don't owe anyone an explanation for your growth. You don't have to defend the boundaries you've set to protect your peace. You don't need to explain why you've stopped settling for less than what you were created to receive. If someone doesn't respect your decisions, that's not your burden. If they don't understand your calling, that's not your responsibility. If they don't support your journey, that's their issue, not yours. Some of you have been living under the pressure of other people's expectations for far too long, carrying emotional baggage that was never yours to carry, shrinking yourself just to fit into spaces you were never designed to belong in. But let me ask you this: when will you start living for you? When will you stop handing the pen of your life to people who don't even have a vision for their own? A queen does not move according to public opinion. She does not seek permission to exist in her fullness. She does not water herself down to make others feel more comfortable. She knows who she is. She stands in her power. She walks with authority, unshaken and unapologetic. Some of you have been afraid to walk away from situations that no longer serve you. Afraid to set boundaries because you fear being judged. Afraid to prioritize yourself because you fear losing relationships. Afraid to demand respect because you fear being called too much. But let me remind you, if someone can't handle your growth, they were never meant to grow with you. If they don't respect your boundaries, they never truly valued you. If they can't celebrate your success, they were never really for you. And the sooner you accept that truth, the sooner you'll find peace. Because a queen doesn't entertain foolishness. She doesn't argue with people who thrive on negativity. She doesn't spend her energy trying to prove her value to those who've already decided not to see it. Some battles are simply not worth fighting. Some conversations are not worth your breath. Some relationships are not worth saving. You must learn to protect your energy, to guard your heart, to walk away from anything and anyone that drains your soul instead of feeding it. You weren't put on this earth to live your life constantly explaining yourself. You weren't created to defend your choices to people committed to misunderstanding you. You were not designed to keep proving your worth to people too blind to recognize it. At some point, the talking has to stop. Let your peace do the explaining. Let your actions speak louder than your need for approval. Because when you know who you are, you don't have to convince anyone else. When you're confident in your calling, you don't seek validation. You command respect by how you carry yourself. Some of you are carrying unnecessary weight, stressing over opinions you can't control, shrinking under pressures you were never meant to carry. But hear me clearly. You are not responsible for how others perceive you. You are not accountable for their inability to understand your heart. You are not in charge of their refusal to acknowledge your growth. That's their journey, not yours. And the moment you stop seeking their validation, that's when you'll be truly free. A queen does not chase, does not beg, does not lower herself to be accepted. She stands tall. She moves with grace. She lets go of anything that doesn't honor who she's becoming. So stop defending yourself. Stop apologizing. Stop waiting for approval. You are a queen, and it's time to start acting like it. You've spent too long second-guessing, doubting, shrinking. But no more. No more apologies for taking up space. No more seeking validation from people who will never see you clearly. You were created with purpose. You were designed with strength. You were called to greatness. So stand tall in your worth. Speak with authority. Move with intention. And walk into every room like you belong there, because you do. Let go of what no longer honors your future. This is your moment to rise. This is your time to reign. And the crown has always been yours. Now wear it like you were born to.